Welcome to Welcome to Monday Night Live. Um, Tonight's show, we're going to talk about some of the challenges associated with the coronavirus and its impact on travel. I'm going to share my thoughts. I do have it set up so that you can make comments and ask questions, and I will try to keep an eye on the screen over here to my side and pop up your comments when you put them in. To start with, I wanted to talk about the current status. Right, as of earlier today, and I haven't looked in the last couple of hours, but earlier today there were 7 ships still at sea that were looking for ports or that had passengers on board with coronavirus. One of them was headed to Cuba. The Norwegian Jewel was at sea in the South Pacific and trying to find somewhere to go. Most everywhere that she had tried to get into was closed. 2 Carnival ships, and actually, I take it back. I did just see an update on the 2 Carnival ships. One of them was supposed to have gone back or gone to through the Panama Canal and wound up in San Diego. San Diego said no, but and San Francisco said no, but Long Beach said that they could land there. So that ship will wind up. Another Carnival ship was supposed to have ended their cruise in San Juan, and they're now on their way to Miami. The passengers that were from San Juan are going to have to be flown back. So those two are on their way to a destination where they'll be able to end things. And it is really sad that we've seen so many challenges. This problem, this virus has caused problems for everybody. It's sad. We think about those people that had important family vacations scheduled, and now they can't have them. There were people with anniversaries and honeymoons and family reunions and very big events in their life that they were looking forward to celebrating at sea, and that opportunity for them is gone. And that's something that there's no way to give them back. We think probably even more important than that, though, is the impact it's had on the travelers, the people in the travel industry. I said travelers, but the people in the travel and hospitality industry. We can think of people in the islands that work for tour companies. I think about, let's just talk about NASA, where at any given time there might be 5 ships, which could be as many as, let's say, 12 or 13,000 people in town for the day spending money. And all of those people that provided service to them, that income's gone and no way to get it back. We were at Disney on Saturday, and Sunday they were closing the park. We know now that they've closed Disney Springs, they've closed the hotels. Now, Disney says they're going to pay their employees, but what about their tips? And the gratuities they're used to. And even more so, what about the small businesses around there that survived off of the tourism and the people that came in and ate and did things, the service? All of those people are going to suffer significantly because of this challenge. And so there's really a tremendous impact on people, basically globally. And it is really sad. The question comes up is what are the things that we can do? Because there are things that we can do right now that will help get through this problem. One of the first things that we can do is obey the rules. Stay safe. Make sure we're not spreading the disease. Today the government is suggesting groups stay smaller than, I think the number was down to 10. It was 50 yesterday. It was 100 a couple of days ago, but it's growing smaller and smaller. And that's because one person can spread the disease a lot. In fact, my wife and I, right now, we were at Disney on a Saturday, and we decided the best thing to do was to self-quarantine. We don't have the symptoms of coronavirus, but we don't know who we might have run into that had it. The week before that, we were on a cruise. As far as we know, no one on the cruise. There's been no reports of anyone on that ship having had an issue. But again, there's that risk. So, we elected to stay at home and not associate with any of the people that we would normally see, just to try to make sure that we're not spreading something if we do have it. The next thing that we can do as individuals, and then one of the things that I see a great deal in value in us trying to do, and again, like I said, if you have comments, you have questions, please pop them into the chat. But what I would say is that when things get back to normal, we need to get back to traveling. If, for example, right now I have a group cruise scheduled to Alaska in September, I am hoping that cruise goes. I have a group cruise in January of next year. I'm fairly confident that that one is going to go. But what happens is that if people don't start traveling, then the money doesn't start flowing to these people that need it. And so by our resuming travels when it's safe to do so, when things get back to normal, we can then do what we can to help the economies and the companies and the people that depend on travel. And one thing I'd encourage, and I say this a little bit selfishly because I am a travel agent, but I was fortunate. I did not have a lot of clients booked. I did have some bookings that canceled, but it wasn't bad. But I know so many of my coworkers and people in the industry lost tremendous amounts of bookings. One gentleman mentioned that he lost about $11,000 in revenue from the bookings that he had scheduled. And a travel agent doesn't cost you anything extra to use. And the one advantage is I know that the travel agents that are in the group I work with, these people work night and day when this problem started, trying to figure out how to protect their customers and their clients. So it puts somebody in your corner that's going to do everything they can to help you move forward. And so I would encourage you to use your travel agent. If you don't have a travel agent, need a good one, I'm available. But use travel agents. There's no advantage to booking directly with the cruise line. And by using a travel agent, again, you help things get back to normal, and you help people that need the income. I've been surprised by how quickly once one cruise line said, hey, we're going to cancel, all the other cruise lines stepped up and pretty much started doing that. And that was the right thing to do. And most of them have been very generous about waiving cancellation penalties. Now, I've heard a lot of people complain about a future cruise credit, but you had a cruise book, now they're just asking you to rebook with them. I will say this is I think it's unlikely that we're going to see cruises in April. Now, that is my personal opinion. I don't have any facts to base it on, but the CDC is saying that, expect, maybe 8 weeks worth of quarantines. And well, I won't say quarantines because officially we're not quarantined, but expect 8 weeks of the recommendation to minimize travel, to minimize exposure to other people. So given that expectation that it might be 8 weeks, I think it's unlikely that the cruises are going to start in April. Now I could be completely wrong. I don't have a crystal ball that says one way or the other, but that is my best estimate is that it's going to probably be into May or June, maybe. And I don't think anybody at this stage in time knows. It is interesting that Canada's barring ships, large passenger ships, through early July, which that says that they're expecting the problem to take a while to get resolved. That is a serious thing because the way the law is set up, any cruise going to Alaska has got to stop in a foreign port. And Canada, and Vancouver and Victoria were the foreign ports of choice. So if a cruise ship can't stop in those two ports, they can't go to Alaska, unless the law gets changed, and I don't see that happening. The lawmakers are busy with a lot of other issues, so I don't see them fixing that. So that really then starts to call in question the Alaska cruise season. Again, I have a September Alaska cruise booked. I'm hoping that things get straightened out by then. I think that the most probable scenario is that things will start to calm down by summer, and some of the cruising will resume. But there are two factors that affect the resume of cruising and the resume of travel in general. The first factor is what is the health of the population like. In other words, if the coronavirus starts to dampen way down, and we're not finding new cases, and people in general are getting over it, that would be a good thing for the cruise industry and for travel industry. And say, I talk a lot about cruise, but I would say this, that in reality, it is not just about the cruise industry, because the hotels in Vegas for the most part are shut down. Disney's shut down and pretty much around the world. So we have all of these places and all of these forms of travel. Of air traffic to Europe is way down. The president in the United States has banned travel from Europe. Europe's banning travel within Europe and from other places. So in all of these situations, the population's got to get healthy before travel starts to happen again. The other piece that's really critical in this is fear. Because even if everybody was healthy, as long as people were afraid of getting sick, it would make it very hard for any form of travel to resume in a meaningful way. Just checking over here for questions. Because what'll happen is nobody will book. And even, it got to the point that the cruise lines could have offered stuff for free and nobody was going to book because everybody was worried about it. So the fear is another factor that's going to have to be dealt with. And my wife would say, I don't have enough fear to be smart. But, I would be one that would book early and be willing to book. A lot of people are very fearful now. And so if they don't book, the cruise line can't sail with 5 passengers on board. If they can't, there's a minimum number of passengers they're going to need on board to be able to start to operate again. And so again, for each of us, the one thing that we can do is that as the health gets better of the population, then we can start trying to look out and find opportunities to book travel. I think it's going to be really important that no matter what form of travel it is that we prefer, that we look at, okay, when is it safe, and what can I do to where can I go, that would be safe and that would start to help, and you say, well, but my dollars are insignificant. It's not any one person's decision to travel that's going to be important, but it is the collective decision to travel by people everywhere. And that, again, like I said, is going to start to build up and start to support the industry again. The challenge becomes that if it stays down too long, the cruise lines, the airlines have already asked for $50 billion bailout. How long can the cruise lines not sail or sail at very minimal passenger loads and still continue to exist? All of these things are things that will, that are unknown right now, but they are all potential issues for the travel industry. And for those that are listening in on my channel on traveling with a chair, because that is, I guess, the one thing that I'm really close to my heart, is I have a group on Facebook for people that travel with challenges. I'll put the link in the comments down below. If you have challenges when you travel, I would definitely encourage you to become a part of the group. It's a very friendly group, very helpful. But for those of us that face health challenges, it's probably going to be later than the general population before we're safe to travel. And I think that, it's one of those things that I'll be a little more cognizant of in the future, is the potential risk that exists, when you get older and when your health is not as good. Anyway, I don't see any questions. I hope what I shared was of some value to you. If you're watching this on the replay, I would dearly love it if you'd post comments either on Facebook or on YouTube. And I will be, the one thing I will be doing is I will be monitoring the questions and the comments and responding. If there's anybody out there, I would ask just real quickly, if any of you that are watching, because I see there are some online, anybody have any questions or any thoughts about traveling and the challenges that we're going to face as we come out of this issue? And while I'm giving them a minute to respond, if you haven't done so, I would dearly love it if you'd go ahead and subscribe to my channel or follow my page on Facebook. I try really hard to provide good content. And it looks like we don't have any questions. So at this stage, hold on just a second. I got a comment in the back here. Let me check on it. I came back. My wife is listening in the background, and she said that I should probably talk a little bit about some of what the cruise lines have done. And they've done, like I said, they've been very generous in not only providing future cruise credits and completely basically wiping out their cancellation penalties for people that are traveling. The other thing that they've done in a lot of cases is they've added some additional cruise credit, so that if you rebook or when you rebook, you'll get some extra credit. Listen, I appreciate everybody that's watched it, and I appreciate everybody that will watch it in the future. Again, please hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next Monday.